Hi, my name's Joel, and if you don't know that, hi, welcome. Usually I make silly content where you're just supposed to get your jollies off and then get on with your day, but today it's gonna be different. It's gonna be a hard-hitting one, so I'm just gonna put it here. Even though I put it before this, there is gonna be a bit of a trigger warning, so just be aware because the topics we're gonna be talking about are gonna be pretty heavy. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there for 3 months it's just been in my head about making it, and we're gonna get all into that. So this is for the people that have been going through something that I did, or or currently are going through something that I've been through, so. And I also feel like I really need to explain why the channel changed and my Twitch changed and all that stuff. And I'm sorry for the autofocus. I have a Razer Cairo or whatever, so it keeps autofocusing, so I'm sorry if it keeps doing this. So anyway, let's get started here. Again, trigger warning, putting it out there. So there for a while I was doing pretty good about, mindset wise was great. I was making funny content. Everything was going well for my Twitch, for my YouTube, stuff like that. And when I mean well, I mean like I was small fry, you know what I mean? And I still am. But regardless, it got to a point where my health started taking a little detour here. I started having these brief periods where it felt like I was just going to pass out. And it would just be like for a split second. But also, I'm going to preface this. It's not like I treated my body good. It's like I treated my body very, very poorly. Very, very poorly. So, I started getting more worried about it, like the more toxic-minded I got, because I was so concerned with my own well-being that I just, there was just that underlying layer of frustration, because I was 29 and I didn't want to die without doing any of the things that I wanted to do. I mean, that's still the case. I mean, that's probably the case for everybody. But the worry got worse and worse. But it wasn't like I was doing anything about it, to tell you the truth. So then, we fast forward to February. Last February, I took Delta 9 edibles. If you don't know what Delta 9 is basically, it's like fake pot, basically is what it is. And I didn't do my research beforehand. But it lasts 4 to 5 hours. Didn't do my research on that. So one night, one faithful, lovely night, I took about 4. I took 3, thinking that I took 2, and then I took another one, so I took 4, and each one were like 20 milligrams, so I was up to 80 milligrams, and I was just talking to one of my friends on the Xbox there, and my heart just started going like this, like super, super fast. And I'm like, oh man, I made a mistake. So I throw down my headset, and I get up, and I'm walking around my living room, because I'm just trying to stay calm, because obviously if you're panicked and your heart's already racing, it's just going to race even higher. So I'm just trying to keep myself calm. I'm walking around like, okay, what's going to help me here? I'll play my guitar. So I grab my acoustic guitar. I'm walking around my coffee table, because we had like one of those like short, very long, trying to get in the camera here, very long coffee table. So I'm like walking around it while like strumming my guitar. My camera's in an odd spot, so I'm like trying to like show. So I'm strumming my guitar around the coffee table over and over and over again, but it keeps racing higher and higher and higher. So then I'm like, okay, here's what I need to do. If it's getting to an emergency mode, I need to be outside, so then that way if anything happens, somebody will be able to see me and call 911. So then I go outside. I'm still holding the guitar, and I'm going around one of our cars, and it's an Isuzu, so we're just like, we just have it there because it just needs to get fixed. So I'm just walking around it, and I'm pretty sure my neighbors probably thought I was like a sociopath, because I'm like, I have my phone in one hand to call 911, and I have my guitar in the other. I'm not even strumming it. I'm just holding it. I'm just marching around the car. And this goes on probably for about 2 solid hours. And then it gets to a point where my heart starts racing even higher. And then I hear a click. And then it starts going again. Like, it stops for a second, and then it keeps going. At that point, I was like, okay, need to call 911 now. And it was, honestly, it was the first time that I prayed to God in over 10 years to not let me die there. Because I thought that was it. It wasn't like I was scared about it, which is totally strange. It's just more of like, I thought like, oh, this could be it. This could be the one. So then I put my guitar back inside, and then when I go outside, my legs don't have enough blood going to them. So I almost fall down the stairs because I'm losing my balance. And then I tried to call 911, but when I looked at the phone screen was blurry. So then I'm like, that's not good. So I need to go to a more public place. So I go out into the public, which is like, there's like a main street where we lived, where like people just constantly are passing by. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go there. It's gonna be a lot safer for me. So then that way, if something does happen, somebody's instantly gonna see me, and hopefully they'll call 911 because I can't. Now, during this, I personally thought that the edibles were laced with something else, in total truth. So I was trying to train myself to be like, hey, I had some Delta 9 gummies. They must have been laced with something, because I couldn't talk. I just couldn't talk. And I had to train myself to be able to say Delta 9 gummies were laced. I had to keep training myself over and over and over again. And then nobody's stopping. And it's hilarious because there's cops passing me, and there's no way in hell that I looked normal. Trust me when I say there's no way that I looked like a normal human being at that moment. But regardless, it's not their fault. I'm just saying. So I go around the block for probably like another 2 hours, right? And I'm just walking around. And the only thing that is going through my mind at this point, because nobody's stopping, I stopped trying to train myself. I was just telling myself, keep moving forward. Because at this point, it would dip in and out. And it was just the feeling. It's not that my heart would slow down. It's just the feeling of it would go up and down, because I would constantly check it here. So then I'm walking around and I'm just telling myself over and over and over and over and over again, keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. The whole time, no ifs, ands, or buts, keep moving forward. So I do that. And then on my way back home, because I'm starting to think that like, oh man, my wife's gonna be home with her family, and I am in the stratosphere right now feeling like I'm gonna die. So then I have to like try to force myself to be able to talk, which that was difficult. So I'm on my way back home, and the fun part is I started hallucinating, and I'm assuming it was from the lack of oxygen. I don't know. I am not a doctor. So I started seeing first what would happen is, you know how you use like a fisheye lens on your camera and it makes everything like closer but round edged sort of deal? That's how it was, basically. And at first, I'm like, okay. I wasn't panicking about it because I knew that I'm not supposed to be able to see that. So I know it's not real. I know it's just a consequence of what I did. So then after that one, it changed into, I started having double vision. So everything kind of had like, basically like an outline of itself is the easiest way I could explain that. And I would look at something and it would do that. And then finally, when I get home, after those hallucinations, I have one more hallucination. Thank God everything stopped right around when my wife showed up. I look over into our bathroom because we had a very shitty, tiny apartment. And our bathroom was like, maybe like, you know, it was maybe like 4 feet long by like 3 feet. I mean, it's probably a little bit bigger than that, but you get what I mean. It was a tiny ass bathroom. But anyway, I look over and it looks like everything's made out of crayon. You know, like when you see like a children's drawing of a bathroom, it looked like that. So I'm like, okay, not supposed to see that. So I'm like trying to train myself like, okay, we need to come down. We need to be able to process words and be able to speak. So within like a half-hour period, I'm finally trying to like be able to talk, and I'm getting there. And then her family shows up. They say, hi, how are you and stuff. And I'm trying to be stonewall and be able to be like, yeah, oh no, I'm great. I'm so good. Which is a stupid thing to say. If you're having a medical emergency, just go to the damn hospital. Don't do what I did, okay? Let's just put it out there. Don't be me. So then, I tell my wife the story, and she immediately is furious. Of course, because anybody else would be, because, yeah, don't be stupid. If you're having a medical emergency, just go to the damn doctor, okay? I learned my lesson, so that's why I'm telling you guys, okay? No matter what. There's a dog. Hi, Goose. So, after I tell her, you know, it still goes on for about another hour to where I finally feel like I'm able to try to sleep, and I barely got sleep. And then for like the next 3 days, I still felt weird. Like my chest felt weird. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So then, stupidly enough, you know, I start getting more toxic and more toxic on my Twitch, on my YouTube, yada, 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 because, you know, February, I thought I was dying, and then, you know, I still think I'm dying, so I get even more toxic. And I wait for 6 months to go to a doctor, which, by the way, again, don't do that either. If you have a medical emergency, you have something like that happen to you, please, for the love of God, go see a doctor. However, here's the other kicker of this whole story. Sorry, I had to have tea. That probably sounded horrible in the microphone. However, this is the other side of that story as well. This whole time, I've been thinking, you know, oh man, I'm gonna die, yada, yada, yada. Which is my own head. So I would have, you know, I would get anxiety attacks about this and that. However, I go to the doctor, and this is the part where I got gaslighted. Now, before anybody says anything, I'm not blaming him, nor will I say his name or where he works at. That's it. Okay? He's a doctor. He was trying to do his job. That's it. Okay? Just because he made a mistake doesn't mean that he meant to. Let's just preface that. Now, we go to him, and he puts me on an EKG, and instantly, he has an idea in his head, and he goes, yep, this is obvious, and this is where the gaslighting comes in. He says verbatim, it's obvious. I'm like, oh, great. What is it? He's like, you have Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. If you don't know what that is, That is basically an example of where you have two electrical circuits in your chest drum, your heart, right? If one shorts out, it starts listening to the other one, and then it just keeps going like this really fast over and over and over again until when it wants to stop. I was like, oh, well, that's terrifying. And I told him, I asked him, I was like, hey, is it dangerous? He's like, yeah, because at some point your heart's not going to want to go 180 beats per minute, you know, when you're like 50 or so. I'm like, oh, 50's not that far away. I only got like 20 years to 50. It's really not that far away. So, you know, after that, he was like, okay, maybe we might put you on some like blood pressure medication, yada, yada, yada. I was like, okay, cool. Because my blood pressure was like 90 over something, which honestly, it wasn't that high, to tell you the truth. But anyway, but also he is a doctor, so, you know, listen to your doctor. I'm not a doctor, okay? I'm just saying I didn't think it was that high. I could be wrong. So then, okay, I start building more and more anxiety because now with Wolff's Parkinson-White syndrome, or at least I thought I had it, I started having anxiety attacks all the time, every day. Didn't matter what I was doing. I would be at work and I would have an anxiety attack about it because the thing about Wolff's Parkinson-White syndrome is it can happen at any moment. So I would start thinking that it's happening every single day. Every day. I would carry that anxiety with me every single day. To the point where I had to leave work one day because I thought it was happening. I go to work and, you know, I'm about to like strip a bed because I was a housekeeper. But I started to get double vision. So at that point, I started to panic. I was like, okay, well, double vision, you know what that means? It's racing, obviously. So I need to get the hell out of here. So I'm like trying to stay cool and I'm trying to talk to somebody and they're like, okay, let's get you to, you know, a hospital or whatever. So they, and I'm like, I can't sit in the car because if I sit still, I'm going to start panicking and then that's going to be worse for everybody, which is honestly, I'm glad I didn't because I would have started panicking really poorly because I started crying at work, by the way, because I thought I was dying. I was crying at work. So they walked me to like a little care facility. It's like a little medical place. It's not meant for emergencies like I was having or thought I was having, you know what I mean? So I'm just walking outside in the parking lot because I'm trying to get myself to calm down enough to where I can go in and talk to somebody about it. But I can't calm down because I'm still panicking about it. So I'm just walking around the car. So I call my wife and I'm like, hey, I think it's happening again. I love you. And she said, okay, well, I'm just going to leave work because obviously I don't want you to die. So she leaves work. God damn, I love my wife because thank God she was there. Literally, I mean, I can't speak more on that because an angel, literally an angel, comes to my aid, right? And I'm just panicking, you know, walking around the parking lot of that place over and over again. I'm just over and over like a robot. She sees me. She's like, hey, let's go to the hospital. And I'm like, I can't sit in the car because my anxiety is too high. And if I sit in the car, I will start panicking. She's like, okay, then we will walk to the hospital. The hospital is like 3 miles away, by the way. 3 miles. So my poor wife has to slowly walk with me because I'm like walking like clenched like this because for some reason what was helping me is I'd be walking and then every step I'd just close my hands like this every step, not like up here. I'm just showing you like it would be down by my side and like every step I would just squeeze my hands a little bit every step. And it was such a slow walk, and I feel bad for her. And plus, it was a blazing hot day, blazing hot. So we finally get there, and you know, I'm like, hey, I have Wolff Parkinson White syndrome because I thought I had it at the time. And so they're like, oh, okay, let's strap like an EKG on you. And it was so weird. It was like my heart rate would go from like 70 to 90 to 80 to 70 to 90. And they're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to sit you down in the emergency room, and we'll have you talk to a doctor. I'm like, cool, great, we can finally figure out. And this was probably the calmest part I was in at the day, because I'm like, okay, we're at the hospital. If anything happens, I'm already here, so we're good. So then, right, the doctor comes in, and I explain, yada, 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 and we're there for a while just because they strap another EKG on me, and, it's bouncing up and down. My heart rate's going from like 90 to 110 to 70 to 80 to 90 to 110, blah, blah, blah. So it's just bouncing everywhere. Because I was still having anxiety about, about the whole thing. And then finally he comes in, he's like, yeah, let's put you on some metoprolol, which, if you don't know, it's a blood pressure medication that also slows your heart rate down. And I'm like, great, perfect. So we do that. And then we go to the good old Safeway and grab my medication. And, I start taking it once a day because it's the 24-hour one. And once I did that, I started feeling horrible, to tell you the truth. I felt horrible the whole time because I took it in the summer, which, by the way, if you're starting a new blood pressure medication, they always warn you that the summer's going to suck for you because you're going to feel like you're melting all the time. But that wasn't even it. For me, what really sucked about it is like I could hear my heart rate more than ever with it. And the concerning part is that I can hear it more, meaning I would panic about it more. Even though my heart rate would be super, super slow, like it would make me have anxiety just because I could hear it the whole time, every single day. And again, with Wolff's Parkinson White syndrome, that's not a one-all fix-all if you're taking metoprolol. I mean, sometimes it does for certain people. But yeah, anyway. So then I started taking that for a while, like a good maybe like month or two. But I just felt horrible the whole time. My anxiety just kept racing. And then finally we go back to see the doctor. And then this is where I know he didn't mean to gaslight me, because I tell him, I'm like, yeah, honestly, my anxiety has been through the roof since the last time I talked to you. And then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I had an electrical, it was a person that specializes in the electricity of the heart. And I can hear my dogs ruffling through something. Hold on. Goose! 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 Yeah, I knew it was you little turd. Anyway, sorry. Back to the story. He, a person that specializes in electrical stuff with the heart. He's like, oh yeah, they said that there's nothing wrong. So I'm like, okay. Should I keep taking the medication then? And he's like, I don't know. Come back to me in 3 months. They haven't called me back or said anything to set up a date for that yet. And it's been, let's see, 6 months since then. So yeah. So yeah. Now during the time of like, you know, when I was taking it and stuff. Like, honestly, it got so toxic for me to do the Twitch and YouTube to the point where, like, I hated myself doing it the way I was doing it, and here's the reason why. I had one friend who passed away recently, and before he passed away, he was a supporter, and he's like, hey man, if you do Twitch or YouTube, tell me about it. I'll watch it every single time. And this was during like the good part of me doing this. And then, you know, he dies. I have this anxiety about me dying, you know, and it's just everything built up to just a huge toxic blowout. Every time I would like stream, I would just blow up every single time, no matter what I was playing, even if it was like something stupid. I would just blow up because I just, you know, I had so much anger and anxiety and crap like that. So finally, it started to eat away at me. And then what's weird, to tell you the truth, is I had a 15-year-old dog, and when he passed away, it kind of got me out of it, because it was one of those things where I wasn't concerned about me, if that makes sense. It took my mind off of me, so then I could start worrying about him. And the timeline, by the way, of my friend passing away is way before, like, most of this. like I should probably fix the timelines, because then you're gonna be like, you were concerned about your dog more than your friend. No. Concerned about them both, but different timelines here. Poor explaining on my part. But after he passed away, I was like, oh wow, I'm finally not concerned about just myself. And then it started getting me thinking, it's like, oh man, I really want to make fun content again. I really do. Because I feel like I screwed it up so poorly that I just want to redo it. And I started thinking about my friend who was a big supporter before he passed away, and the content that I was making at the time. It was honestly kind of heart-wrenching, because I knew with my silly and fun stuff he would have enjoyed it, but if he would have watched any of that toxic crap, he would have called me out on it and would have told me how stupid it was. So the reason why I did the revamp is to tell you the truth, is finally I got woken up to easily explain it. I got woken up. Now, here's what I will say for the people that, you know, are stuck in this constant anxiety of them being medically gaslighted, or, you know, if they still carry that anxiety like I do. Like, honestly, I still have a little bit of anxiety every day. I still carry it. And I know nothing's wrong. That's the thing. That's the thing about getting medically gaslighted. You know nothing's wrong, but you carry that anxiety with you probably forever. So here's what I will say to all the people who have been or are going through that and still have anxiety every single day. I'm gonna tell you what I had to tell myself. Keep moving forward. And believe me, do not try to rush through recovery at all. Take it as slow as you need. You will get there. All right, guys. Bye-bye. Hi, my name's Joel, and if you don't know that, hi, welcome. Usually I make silly content where you're just supposed to get your jollies off and then get on with your day, but today it's gonna be different. It's gonna be a hard-hitting one. So I'm just gonna put it here. Even though I put it before this, there is gonna be a bit of a trigger warning. So just be aware, because the topics we're gonna be talking about are gonna be pretty heavy. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there for 3 months, it's just been in my head. about making it, and we're gonna get all into that. So this is for the people that have been going through something that I did, or or currently are going through something that I've been through, so. And I also feel like I really need to explain why the channel changed and my Twitch changed and all that stuff. And I'm sorry for the autofocus. I have a Razer Cairo or whatever, so it keeps autofocusing, so I'm sorry if it keeps doing this. So